Welcome to As-Sahwa's podcast, encouraging revival of the mind and the heart, seeking the truth and standing for what is right in the age of overloaded misinformation. Hola, parce.
Hola, parce. ¿Cómo estás?
I don't know the reply.
Muy bien.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Carlos, welcome back.
Thank you very much. It's good to be back.
The first episode we had was on audio, and now, mashallah, tabarakallah, we can see your pretty face.
Both of our pretty faces. Your one is more pretty than mine, bro, to be quite honest.
Well, I don't know about that, but I must say, I did try to dress the part.
Bro, you look, honestly, I'm shaking right now.
I tell you, when I was growing up in the 90s, it was a big thing to wear checker shirts and bandanas.
Yeah.
And there was a famous film. It was called Blood In, Blood Out.
Blood in, blood out.
Yes. I don't know if you ever heard of it.
Of course I have.
Yeah.
Of course, that's a classic, isn't it?
Indeed,
Yes.
indeed.
Yes.
And it was quite funny because you had white American actors trying to act like
The
Latinos.
Latinos, mostly Mexicans, because, you know, that's the Central American part when they migrated, you know, to America, you know, so yeah.
Precisely. And the only thing we learnt from it was one word. I don't know if I should use it. It was Is that a swear word?
Kind of, bro.
La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah.
No, but it's, you know what, is you know, obviously, you know, you're using it in a way to, kind of explain what you learn, which most people learn the good stuff, let's say it. But yeah, it is common. It's common, yeah. I'm sure each person can find their own translation once they see this, what it means. But it's all good. It's all good.
Astaghfirullah, if it's a really bad swear word, but
it's not the worst swearing word, but it's a swear word.
Okay,
But
right.
astaghfirullah, it's all good.
Not sure if I should edit it from the video or not, but I'll leave it as that.
We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it plays out.
Well, brother Carlos,
Yes.
I appreciate you coming on to our show.
Jazakallah, thank you for having me.
We want to discuss about Islam in Latin America,
Yes.
the Latino Islam. There's a big push of da'wah in Islam. You go on Instagram, you go on YouTube, and you get these little pop-ups, these little adverts about Latino Muslims saying, help us raise funds for building a masjid.
Yes.
And you get that quite often.
Yeah.
So there's a big push in America,
Yeah.
right? But in Latin America. But that really comes down to the fact that the largest, or should I say the fastest growing religion in the world, and it has been for the last many, many years, is Islam all around the world.
Yeah.
We hear a lot of stories from converts to Islam or reverts to Islam from Korea, from Japan. Then we hear from the other side, North America, South America. So it's a big push. But obviously we want to concentrate in Latin America. Obviously your background and your family from Colombia. Is that how you say it?
Colombia, yes.
Colombia. So I've got some numbers for you, some statistics for you.
Okay.
Regarding, I'm not testing you, by the way. It's
I
just
hope not, because you might catch me. Yeah,
Checking
you
Google,
might catch me out. Yeah, I might have to check the Google quickly here. But let's go for it. Let's see.
So Brazil apparently has 1.5 million Muslims.
Alhamdulillah.
Argentina 700,000 in Argentina.
MashaAllah.
Venezuela 100,000, and Colombia has around 10,000.
Really? So we're the lowest then?
You're the lowest, but
Yes. So that's
what I don't know is that number including or excluding converts to Islam,
Yeah.
or is it other Muslims that emigrated and are now living there?
Yeah.
So you got a massive amount of works to do in Colombia to bring those numbers up.
You know what? We might be the lowest, but I can guarantee you we're the most big-hearted ones.
MashaAllah, bro.
Yeah, no, definitely, definitely. I'm joking. To be quite honest, I mean, look, it's still amazing to hear those statistics, because you know, South America is still a very fertile country, continent, I beg your pardon, for the dawah, but it's definitely, you know, calling out for it, you know, big time.
And it's not something new.
No.
I had a friend who was studying at Goldsmiths University, and he was telling me in his research, he was doing his degree in history, and he was saying that the relationship of Islam and America, and really particularly South America, has been not for 100 or 200 years, but for quite a few hundred years.
Yeah.
So when you look online and you read through some of the history of Latin America, they say that Islam was introduced to Latin America or Southern America around the 18th century. Okay. But really and truly, it's well before that, because don't forget the slave trade, which was between the 15th century up until the 18th century. Majority of the slaves were African black Muslims. I have to be honest here. Yeah. Unfortunately, it was a lot of black Muslims that were selling their own brothers and sisters to the slave traders, including Arab traders as well. Okay, let's just be clear about that, because we have to be balanced in anything we are discussing.
Absolutely.
But the slave trade gave the introduction to Islam in America between 15th to the 18th century. And even previously, before America was, when America was discovered, they say discovered by Columbus, but let's be honest, America was always there as a land.
It already existed. Yeah, and there was people there already who had
precisely
been living there.
So how they discovered it because Columbus, the numpty, was supposed to be going to India, and he went the wrong way.
Right.
And he came across this land. He saw browns, coloured people, and guess what he called them? Indians. Hence the reason why they're called American Indians.
Yes.
But they have no connections to India.
Right.
Okay, but that shows how naive and how close-minded people like Columbus were. Apparently, on his ship, there was a interpreter, and he was a Jew. Okay. Spanish Jew, but speaking Arabic.
Wow.
And he spoke in Arabic to the indigenous tribe in South America when they came across.
Okay.
Now, that means if this Spanish-speaking Jew can speak Arabic to a tribe in South America, and they spoke in fluent Arabic, apparently, then that means the Arabic language must have been introduced there at least 1 or 2 generations before.
Absolutely.
So really and truly, what we're saying is Islam was there before Columbus. That means really before the 15th, 14th century.
Yeah.
Okay. So Islam was embedded there for a very long time. And the way Islam was spread was not by force, was by education and trade, and maybe people living amongst them. But the way Christianity was spread in America, 16th, 17th century onwards, was by force, mass conversion.
Yeah.
Hence the reason why you have majority population of being of the Christian faith.
That's right.
My question to you, Carlos, is do you see similar or commonalities between Islam and Christianity in Latin America?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, people that have experienced a different background, especially in this sense, Christianity, you would definitely connect a lot of common ground with, Islamic traditions, regarding stuff like family units, how to treat your elders, just respecting, people in general. And there's a lot of common ground, being God conscious. Obviously doctrine is a different field, and that's where it gets a little bit, let's say messy. But I think overall, and I've always said it until today, there is more common ground than not. And funny enough, it was only yesterday or the day before yesterday when my children was looking at a sort of social experiment with a dawah person who is very much involved in the States, and he was doing this experiment where he covered the Bible. He covered the Quran with a Bible cover.
Okay.
And he would read a verse I think
Right.
it was the verse of where he talks about the mother of Jesus, Maryam alayhi salam, and Isa, you know, and he reads this verse to certain people from the public, and obviously they're thinking that it's the Bible, and you see how they agree with a lot of things, and then when he kind of at the end explains that actually look, takes the cover of this is from the Quran, a lot of them are shocked because they're like, I didn't even think you guys believed in these things when it comes to the doctrine. But yeah, going back to your original question, yeah, there's definitely a lot of common ground, and I think that's why Islam has impacted and still has a lot of space to impact the Latino community, because I think what we've lost, I reckon, a lot within our culture is the traditions. You know, back in the day, I remember, for instance, my grandma, you know, very, you know, traditional. Her way she, you know, moved in her, you know, personality, her manners, and everything like this, you know, was very much linked to maybe her Christian traditions. And unfortunately, over the years, I think it's kind of, you know, watered a lot, and now it becomes more of a, not for everyone, because there is sincere Christians out there, you know, you can't sort of like defame all Christians, but I say there's a big part where it has become more of a just a ritual, you know.
Yeah.
And sometimes you even see that within to be fair, within the Muslim community as well, you know, in certain attributes of things, you know. But I think, you know, there is definitely more common than uncommon. Yeah.
Going back to talking about rituals and routine. I call it
Routine, that's it. Yeah. Yes.
So you'll see a lot of people getting up for Fajr.
I think that's the right word for it, actually. Yeah.
Routine. And when they get up for Fajr, it's a routine, right? Whereas somebody else who might get up for Fajr, get up before Fajr, maybe pray Tahajjud, okay, and wait for Fajr to enter, pray Fajr, or that person will get up for Fajr, the dawn prayer, and go to the mosque 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning. Okay, so I think we've established that there's a difference between a ritual and routine. Okay?
Absolutely.
Because I think what happens is with a lot of people is it's a routine, it's a habit. They just get up and do it. It's like brushing your teeth, it's a habit. But imagine brushing your teeth in a different way. So, for example, if you're right-handed and you brush your teeth with your left hand, it's a different experience.
I think it would be.
Right. So now imagine you praying any salah, any prayer at a different mosque, not your local mosque. Okay, it's a different feeling, right?
Absolutely.
If you pray Eid, for example, in a different place where you don't normally pray, it's a different feeling, different people, different environment. So I think that can be an issue. We have to be honest, because there's good and bad everywhere. That's clear to us. And there are people with good characters, good manners, and there are people with the opposite. And you find many non-Muslims that have good manners and characters, and sometimes I think, I wish this guy was a Muslim. Right? Oh Allah,
I've met a few of them as well myself, bro.
And you make dua for them sincerely, that Allah give him that or her the hidayah, the guidance for this person to become Muslim, because this person is perfect like that, right? Okay, and you want good for him or for her. Okay, so you have this in your mind. With other countries and cultures, like for example, you go Spain, right? Spain, generally, I understand, and I've seen it myself. I've been around southern Spain, Andalusia, and we went to Seville as well.
MashaAllah.
And we saw with the non-Muslim Spanish, they were very family orientated. Okay, even their lunches, their dinners, they were doing it as a family. And I don't mean just mom, dad, and kids. It was mom, dad, kids, grandparents, cousins. I make that assumption that this is who they are. But you could see that closeness. For example, you don't see a lot of that in Britain. Britain is losing it or has lost it. I did see, however, the other day I was in Morrison's and I saw a elderly lady, English, white, and I saw maybe he was around in his mid-20s, and he was helping her do shopping. And then he called her, grandma, do you want this, grandma, do you want that? And I turned around and I said, you don't see a lot of that. That's really nice. That's really good that this person is doing that. And we are seeing, I work in an authority where I have to visit certain buildings, and one of those buildings is what's called an independent living unit, which is like an old people's home, but they got to live there by themselves.
Right.
Not a nice situation for them to be in there on their own. Some of them don't have visitors for weeks and months.
Yeah.
Okay. And I can see even the Muslim community going down that road now. Okay, which is quite sad. And it's not to do with Islam or Christianity. It's not to do with religion. It's to do with society in general.
Absolutely.
So Islam came to bring stability in any society. It can be in the East or in the West. But why do you think there has been a massive spread of Islam in Latin America? We read some of the statistics, and we're talking about millions, right? We're saying 1.5 million Muslims in Brazil. Now, there is a large Muslim there is a large Muslim community there that are from I think Lebanon and Palestine and some other places. They've been there since the 1950s,
It's
1960s.
true. It's true. They migrated there many years. Yes.
And there's funny enough, I met a few Pakistanis as well.
Yeah. In Panama as well.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different people from different backgrounds because it's a port, isn't it? But yeah, they're around through previous generations as well, and they've integrated as well within the culture. Some of them have lost their roots, some of them haven't.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely quite diverse in that sense of
I
things.
was part of a Dawah organization years ago, and I think it was around 2002, 2003, we received an email from a Muslim in Bolivia.
Okay.
Saying, can you help us? Can you send us information? Can you even fly down and give a bit of da'wah?
Yeah.
And that was new to us, 2002, 2003.
I didn't even contact you. What was email?
He emailed us, right? And he was actually a indigenous Bolivian.
Okay.
He took his shahada.
MashaAllah.
And he said, look, we're struggling. Now, that was 2002, 2000. Things have changed dramatically now.
Yeah,
okay?
Absolutely.
I'd love to see some of the Latino brothers.
I think there is a brother out there in Bolivia, actually, that he works with that organization, IERA, who are quite active as well in South America, in different parts of South America. And I think he studied in Medina. So you've got some brothers that have actually studied abroad, have come back to South America and, started doing dawah, but as you said, why do you think Islam
has spread
in South America? I think, it's very hard to talk for everyone, but, everyone's journey is quite unique, and some are very common with others, but I think that, seeking truth is something that a lot of people, at least once in their life, may think about it and take it on board and investigate further. And some just kind of has it within themselves, but really doesn't take it any further, probably because they don't know where to start. But one thing that South America definitely has is that the majority are God conscious, and I think that's a very important, foundation to begin with. And then when you talk to a lot of people from South America, you realize that a lot of them actually just, praise to God, and then when you talk to them about Jesus and stuff like that, I've encountered personally many conversations where people don't believe that Jesus is God, even though that's what they may title themselves to be under a certain Christian doctrine, but within themselves, that belief isn't really in their heart,
Mm-hmm.
And I think, Islam is something that a lot of people cry out for in all around the world, not just in South America, because, it's finding that inner peace, and a lot of people probably in South America that, they try to find happiness through different avenues, especially within our culture, where similar to other cultures where we believe happiness is in the material stuff, and on top of that, you've got a big machine of propaganda that constantly is pumping out that type of, perception, which is completely false. And really and truly, a lot of people may look happy on the outside, but inside they're not. So when they do have the opportunity to learn about let's say, Islam, first of all, they're very surprised, and they're like, wow, a lot of these things that you're telling me is like, I kind of already believe in it. And it's like everything, you know, what probably kind of stops them taking certain steps forward is because of the, you know, the wrong information that's been conceived about Islam through propaganda once again. But when you try to clarify these misconceptions, you can see them very much closer to that belief. I suppose what, you know, frightens them is the changes that they probably feel that they have to do to be part of that belief. And we all know that change doesn't happen overnight. It's going to take a bit of time, you know, it's a process. Some people can do it overnight, and some people it may take longer. And I think, you know, once you kind of explain that to them, that helps. But then it's all about consistency, and it's all about the support network as well that is needed in South America. But I think ultimately, in my opinion, I think Islam is in many people's hearts without them knowing in South America. I can guarantee that, because I've personally, like I said, encountered so many conversations with people that are from my background, and you know, when they, you know, obviously they feel more comfortable talking to another Latino and saying, but wow, like what made you become a Muslim, and what, you know, what allowed you to make that change? And then when you start breaking things down, you can see that it's hitting certain notes in their hearts. And I'm not even trying to, like, you know, as we know as Muslims, we're not there to force anyone to guidance, because guidance doesn't come from us, you know. Guidance comes from God, from Allah, you know, and that's something that we're very clear about, you know. We just plant the seed. But yeah, like in that sense of things, like God consciousness is something that is very much part of the people of South America. And I think that also is connected with, you know, the struggles, you know, coming, you know, like it or not, South America is still considered to be a what they call this, a less developed country, you know, and there is a lot of people are still struggling. And I think God, hence why it's very important, because it gives people that strength, that hope to continue, you know. And there's a lot of people that are sincere, you know, in their belief. So yeah, I think that's basically it in a nutshell.
Well, I mean, you're right about the most common thing is God consciousness.
Yeah.
They believe in a God.
Absolutely, yeah.
The question of 3 into 1, 1 into 3 is still a mystery, and as you call it a mystery, they say it's a mystery in faith. Yeah. Which you have to be clear and no doubt in your faith. But anyway, that's a different.
But that goes. That you know what? That's very much connected to your original intro. You know, when you was given this sort of historical contents about how Christianity came to South America, and when I have these conversations, I always ask them, like, do you ever question, like, how did Christianity come to your life? How did it even come to your family, your parents? You know, to the country, you know, have you ever sort of thought about that? You know, because I feel like if you're going to follow something, you should at least investigate, you know, how it came to our culture. And like you said, you know, it was pretty much forced upon us. We never had a choice. You know, I had a choice because I actually stepped back for 1 second and I said, well, hold on. If I'm going to believe in something, I need to make sure that this is right. You know, if I'm going to make a change in my life, if I'm going to leave, you know, the things that I'm accustomed to, which not everything I've left, by the way. Like let's you know, some people think, oh, because you become Muslim, you're going to lose your identity. No, it's not that. It's just that Islam, like I've always said, it filters, you know, the good stuff and it leaves behind the bad stuff, which is the residue, you know, that's left behind. But yeah, like Christianity, how did it come to us? And you know, how true is it, you know? And a lot of people don't think that sometimes. They just live life, you know, as it comes, and then they get distracted with the pleasures of life, you know. And then the thoughts might come probably, I don't know, when there's some form of trauma or test or near-death experience, or, you know, when you really need that, there's no one else around you that can help you, but, you know, you look up in the sky and then maybe that's when you start really feeling like, okay, now I need something more than this life, you know. So I think, like I said, each person's journey is unique, but it's definitely needed.
You just put a thought into my mind. Have you noticed when playing football, they score a goal? Doesn't matter who it is, Muslim, Christian. There's one thing they always do, and that is they look up to the sky. And they always point
up to give thanks, isn't it? Or even before they come onto the pitch.
Yeah, but even it's when they score, they're looking up, and always their index finger goes up. Right. Yeah. And it's not just Muslims, but Christian players as well. Okay?
Absolutely.
So it's what you call fitra, natural instinct, that God is up there. Okay?
Exactly.
How and what is up there? It's a different question altogether. So this connection that Muslims have with the natural instinct is a strong connection. It's a doubtless connection. It's clear to people when you're talking about from an Islamic point of view. You made a good point in terms of your culture. You're not losing your culture. You're not losing your identity.
No.
So, if you have particular foods to eat in Colombia, it's not prohibited for you.
It's not forbidden as long as it ain't pork, obviously.
So halal meat. But you can cook it in the Colombian way. You can maybe off camera give me some recipes from
absolutely.
Mama.
I'm not the best of cook, but
no. I said Mama.
Oh yes,
Mama.
yes.
Mama can give us the recipes on doing those barbecue sauces and the marination.
That's the right place to go. Right. Absolutely.
Different thing altogether, isn't it? But so you see now, the journey of Muslims in South America and America in general has been around for many hundreds of years. You mentioned your family is in Colombia on holiday at the moment, visiting their family, and she's had a good reception with her wearing a hijab.
Alhamdulillah.
Right. So the population are not seeing the hijab as a threat, and they're actually complimenting her on the way she's wearing it and what she's wearing. So indirectly, what your wife is doing is a form of da'wah.
Absolutely.
People are going to see and say, oh, what you're wearing looks really nice. And then the conversation will go on to, well, are you wearing it? Why are you wearing it? And naturally, inshallah, that discussion with Islam is going to happen. The question I want to ask you is, in the West now, generally, we're not talking about South America, we're talking about North America and obviously Europe. There's a massive anti-Muslim, anti-Islam feeling. I think yesterday or day before yesterday in Leeds, there was massive riots yesterday. Okay. The notion was Muslims rioting, Muslims this, Muslims that. And obviously, Mr. Twit named Tommy Robinson comes out and says, and Nigel Farage, another Twit, that comes out saying, look what's going on. These people from the Indian subcontinent or from the subcontinent causing riots, Muslim causing riots. So it turns out it wasn't Muslims who was causing riots. Oh, there's a Muslim councillor. Some of these trolls on Twitter are going after because they saw him in the riots. But when you see him, it clearly shows he's trying to stop the protesters. Okay, rioters. Sorry, he's trying to stop the rioters. But being right wing, they've only got one sense of direction, and they want to make everything anti-Islam. The information that came out today was, it was the Romanians that actually were rioting because social services came to take to take some kids away from a family. They called the Romanian community, and there was mass riots. Now there's two things here. For me that's something unheard of, because it's a community. What I mean unheard of is a community came together to stop the authorities from taking some kids away. Right. So again, it's not English white, but it's a Eastern Europe, non-English kind of feeling community, right? On top of that, it was not Muslims who were causing the riots. Okay. So my question now is, in Colombia or in other parts of South America, have you heard of any kind of anti-Muslim, anti-Islam rhetoric? And have you witnessed any kind of anti-Muslim hatred in South America or in Colombia?
Like I said, the media machine is very influential. And even though you say that there's a big sort of anti-Islamic movement, we all know that the majority of people actually have no issues with the Muslims. You know, it's very, very few. Yeah, but because of the media, it blows it up more than what it really truly is. And I think that same impact it's got on certain South American cultures. They probably have this opinion that, you know, Muslims are, you know, they oppress their women. You know the typical stuff like, oh, you know, women have no rights. It's a man sort of more privileged religion. Then you've got, you know, the sense of, oh, these Muslims, they're terrorists. They, you know, they like to do craziness. So you got like some people. Do you actually
hear that kind of stuff in South
America? Like, it's we're globalized world now. Like, we're all interconnected.
Yeah.
You know, it's difficult for people not to receive that information. You know, and I think that's why we play an important role in showing people that, you know, we're nothing like that.
Yeah.
Quite the contrary. You know, we actually we're looking for peace. We're looking for harmony, mercy. You know, we're about the community. We're about, you know, showing a good role model to our children, to be a good example. You know, all these things that are positive for society, and for ourselves as well. You know, so therefore, that's when, you know, when you do have these conversations with like Latino Muslims that engage. I beg your pardon, not Latino Muslims, with Latinos, you know, they do ask you these typical things, and you know, I don't take no offense to it, because I know it's normal. Like, people, you know, unfortunately they get sort of you know, caught up in all these misconceptions, you know, and that's why when you clarify it does change their chip, but it's difficult to sort of like compete against such a big media machine that is pumped and sponsored by billions of pounds. But bro, at the same time, you know, you can't fight against God's, you know, will.
Of course.
You know, and that'll always be our strength, no matter what, you know. And a lot of people nowadays, bro, with what's happening around the world politically, you know, especially in Palestine, a lot of people, you know, have you know, seen Muslim and non-Muslims a lot of hypocrisy, you know, and I think a lot of people have changed their perception as to, you know, what is presented on the mainstream media, and they are questioning it, you know, and I think that's good. Because I think it's about time, you know, it's about time that you don't just, you know, follow these headline news. It's good to, you know, find out for yourself. And not only that, you know, talk to the people around you. And I think conversation is one of the most beautiful and most beneficial things for human beings to have, because it really does ease the mind a lot and the heart, and it does bring more unity. And bro, when I talk to my let's say my Latino friends or colleagues, and they realize that, you know, we're talking on the level, I talk like them in Spanish, we crack jokes and things like that, they're like, bro, you're no different. But you know what, when it's time for Salah, yeah, give me 1 second, I'm gonna go and pray, you know. I'll go and do my prayer, come back. They respect that now, you know, because they see I'm not just, you know, I'm taking, you know, it's a serious matter. You know, he's not just saying he's a Muslim, he's actually practicing, you know, and before you know it, bro, they just fall at ease with it, you know, they just feel comfortable because they realize that actually it's a good thing. There's nothing bad about it.
It's normal.
It's normal. Like, you know, the guy, he's polite, he's cool, you know, he's fair, because, you know, I'm not perfect. I'm not trying to, you know, blow my own trumpet, but the reason why I'm saying this is because, you know, we are people that fear God, you know, and we know that one day we're going to have to face God, and everything that we do in this world, you know, will be accounted for, you know, and that's a very powerful psychological attribute that plays for us as Muslims. And this is why, you know, a lot of people in society within the South American community, bro, starting from the politicians downwards, would benefit a great deal, you know, truly, really and truly being God fearful, bro. You know, because unfortunately, one thing in our society within, you know, the political side is that there's a lot of corruption, you know, within let's say within Colombia in this sense, and that corruption, unfortunately, is what doesn't allow us to progress, and it filters a lot of things. It's like a big, massive domino effect, bro. The psychological part as well, people, the way they think, you know, some think, I got nothing to lose, you know, and I feel like if people truly had that fear of God, like really truly had that in their heart without no doubt, there's probably a bigger chance that they would think twice. You know, say for instance, if you're a politician and you know this money here in this treasury belongs to the people, you know, if you don't have that fear of God, you probably won't think twice about, you know, let me pocket this in and distribute this to my close colleagues and make sure everyone in my circle is good, you know, compared to, you know what, if, you know, that money there, you know, God has put me in this position as someone trustworthy to distribute this correctly, and if I don't, I'm going to be accounted for. It's a big, massive psychological impact, you know. If you was to do, like, if you was to think, can you just imagine, like, if that was a sincere thought for, you know, those people that have got that responsibility, how society could change. It would be massive, bro. And I feel like, yeah, but, you know, I think it's definitely something positive.
Yeah,
bro.
You mentioned something I was going to ask you anyway is Palestine.
Palestine, yes.
Why do you think, in your opinion, is there a massive support from Latin America for Palestine?
Yeah, that's true, bro. I mean, I've been even shocked with myself with the support that they've been offering the people from for Palestine, bro. And I think it's justice, bro. It's obviously they believe the ideology over there is democracy, and you know, supposedly democracy is meant to have, you know, human rights, but then that becomes a little bit subjective accordingly to, you know, whatever institution. But they've taken it upon themselves to really support Palestine because they see the injustice, bro. I mean, you don't have to be a Muslim to see the injustice, bro. Is, you know, when you see children suffering, you know, deaths, old people, babies, you know, mothers, brothers, sisters, you name it, bro. Like, we can all connect with that. Like, we all have some form of connection and empathy towards that, and I believe that's why they've been, you know, supportive, and that's, and you know what, that, you know, that's made me proud as well, you know, because I wouldn't, you know, God, I mean, if they weren't, it wouldn't be very nice.
If you look at some of the countries, including Colombia, they've taken massive steps in breaking diplomatic ties with Israel, not sending certain arms or parts or any kind of trade with Israel. Okay, so it's massive. One of those things, personally, I think that's affected, especially South America, is because of South America generally being oppressed by the Western superpowers. If you look in the 50s, 60s, 70s, there was a massive revolution in South America, communist revolution, obviously being supported by the USSR in those days, the Soviet Union. And then you had America, who was actually sending in militias, killing thousands and thousands of people in South America, from Venezuela to other parts of South America to Cuba, etc. Right? And I think that generally the South Americans, the leadership, haven't forgotten what America done to them and how they treated them, and they see the same thing the way in occupied Palestine, which is they call Israel, but occupied Palestine, the Israelis are doing to the Palestinians. And now I think it's reached around 190,000 dead since October. Okay, justification, they are defending themselves, which is so absurd. Anyway, that's for another podcast. But the reality is that wherever people are oppressed, they feel, not Muslim or non-Muslim,
exactly,
they feel the oppression. Now there is a saying of there's a hadith which says that the hijab is lifted, meaning the curtain is lifted between Allah and the oppressed. And some scholars say even the non-Muslim who doesn't believe in Islam, who doesn't believe in Allah but believes and raises his hands or looks towards the skies and asks to be freed from the oppression, Allah accepts even their dua as well and their supplication. So the reality is it's not just religion that they find some sort of commonality in, but even in the way they've been treated, i.e. the oppressed people of South America, they feel it. Like the South Africans, they felt it a lot.
Absolutely.
How they were treated by the apartheid system, and it's the same thing. We're coming towards the end of the podcast. I heard that now you're going also to meet your family in Colombia.
Yes, I am indeed. Inshallah. It's been some years now, and I'm very much looking forward to it. I think
you're going to meet your family, obviously.
I'm going to meet the family. We're going to do a bit of traveling around Colombia, because as you know, it's quite far from here. So, you know, I want to make the most of it, try and fit in as many trips as possible, because Colombia is beautiful, bro. Like, it's not just because it's my, you know, it's my country. It's just like, it's such an amazing country. There's so many things, you know, nature, and the people in general are very nice. The hospitality, bro, like Colombia welcomes anyone across the world. And it's like, you know, we was talking about misconceptions. You know, sometimes there is even misconceptions about Colombia. They think, you know, cartel, Pablo Escobar, and that, you know, all this typical stuff. I mean, you know, look at you, came with a bandana. so yeah, I mean, this is the thing, bro. This is where I feel like it's the opportunity for myself as well to do some historical research in regards to how the Muslims, and there we go, we put it on now, yes, the homies here. You need to get someone from Mexico, bro.
So sorry, bro, because we're coming to the end of the podcast, it only made sense for me to put it back on.
Of course. It suits you, bro. It suits you, man. I mean, honestly, you look like you probably had some Mexican, but you know, in the bloodline, you have to.
I did do a DNA test, and I will leave that for another podcast. Trust
really,
me, it's
is it disappointing?
It's an absolute shocker.
Really, wow.
So I definitely will say to you,
I'm going to tune in for that one.
Get your DNA done. Done. Apparently, they say you should get the youngest member of the family to do it because they have the most.
Okay.
I don't know how the DNA thing works, but
okay.
You know, but anyway, get the DNA done, even if it's you, and
you
know, you might be presently surprised, or in my case, presently shocked at my system. But anyway, but we were saying about you going to Colombia, and
so I'm going to go there. I'm looking forward to try and you know, visit a few, you know, mosques out there, because there is mosques. Okay. Small communities, and you know, there's a few sheikhs out there that. Inshallah. Yeah, bro, this is what I'm saying, that we have to continue the podcast in regards to this.
Obviously, when you come back from the travels,
I can give you some insight, better insight, inshallah. Yeah, definitely. But I'm looking forward to doing a little bit of everything with the family, and it's also a good sort of educational trip for my children. You know, being Colombian Muslims, you know, just to show them, like, look, even though we're Muslims, we can still go out there, feel comfortable, engage, have a laugh. And just have fun, bro, because I think, if anything, we know how to have fun. You know what I'm saying?
In the halal way.
Yeah, of course. Always the halal way, bro. Yeah. Inshallah, bro. But yeah, definitely looking forward to that.
If you can, I would request some Colombian honey.
Yeah?
Yeah, if you can, a small jar. And
you're talking about the honey, yeah? The
real honey.
Oh, okay.
Oh, not that honey. No. Just to make it clear.
You're trying to get the funny Colombian side out of me, bro.
The honey in the jar.
Okay, I'm playing.
And some real Colombian coffee.
Coffee, yeah.
In a jar.
Okay.
No other coffee, just normal coffee.
Do you know what they say? They say they actually export the best the best coffee from Colombia. They use it for all the exporting, and everything they leave in Colombia is actually not the so good stuff.
Okay.
So that's, I've always heard that. I don't know how true it is.
Well, now you can test it.
I'm not trying to. I'm not trying to not bring you something, bro.
You're gonna.
I'll bring you. I'll bring you some coffee. Don't worry, bro.
Well, Carlos, Jazakallah khair. Appreciate you coming onto the podcast again, and hopefully we're gonna have many more sessions.
Inshallah.
Definitely, when you get back from your holiday, it will be nice to hear your travels and your meeting with other Muslims and masjids. So definitely need some photos and videos as well of those
inshallah,
places. It'd be good
Inshallah.
Catch up then, and inshallah ta'ala, hope it goes all well with you and the family.
Inshallah.
And I'll see you when you get back to England. You never know, it might be snowing back in September.
But it wouldn't surprise me. Good old English weather, like they say, right?
It's hot today, boiling hot today.
Yes.
Tomorrow it could be raining, and day after it could be snowing.
That's it.
Then when you come back, I'll tell you honestly, welcome back home then.
Well, Jazakallah khair for having me, bro. It's always a pleasure. And I look forward to giving you some positive feedback.
Inshallah. Take care, bro. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.